What the hell is this?
What the fuck?
In the original concept, it was assumed that the main character would be able to choose a patron entity, which would grant access to a set of modifications that significantly change our abilities. That's why we decided that the ability system should be flexible and easily modifiable. The first thing we did was add a life cycle setting for abilities so that we could trigger the necessary audio and visual effects at specific moments that align with the game logic. We arrived at a sort of ability schedule which consisted of blocks of game logic and the timing of their activation from the moment the ability is launched. In the first iteration, these blocks could trigger visual effects, activate the attack collider, and launch it in the direction the unit was facing. However, this turned out to be insufficient to make the abilities interesting. For example, how do you make a boss move to a specific point in the arena and launch a complex bullet hell pattern of projectiles? Our scheduler didn't have enough authority for that, so we started to further develop the ability system. First, we added a block for controlling the unit's states. For example, an ability could make the unit immune to stagger to prevent stun locking, or so that important enemies couldn't have their abilities easily interrupted by the player. Then we added blocks for controlling the unit's rotation and position. This, for example, allowed us to create a charge ability. Next, we added a block for animation control. We wanted to be able to create versions of regular units with unique movesets, but at the same time we didn't want to redo the base animator's state machine. In parallel with this, the projectile system was evolving separately. Projectiles learn to track targets, follow trajectories, create persistent damage zones, and change their behavior and logic on the fly. The system turned out to be truly powerful. The blocks responsible for the start and effect of abilities also evolved, which allowed us to create, for example, Berserker or Kamikaze units. Overall, the system turned out to be powerful.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
Many blocks grew into super subsystems of our super system. And in the latest iterations, due to incorrect ability settings, a unit could end up killing itself. At this point, we ended up with an overpowered powerhouse, literally a god who had complete control over the unit, and not just over it. Whoever happened to get in the way, really, but despite all that, it turned out pretty well. As you can see, we tried to create a full variety for every taste and preference. If you think flexibility is easy to set up, it's not.
No. No. Nope.
Problems arose, for example, conflicts between the artificial intelligence or the animation system and the ability itself. The ability system, with the inevitability of a bulldozer, destroyed everything we wanted or needed to add for other unit systems. Now let's move on to the best part. The biggest drawback is the massive, unwieldy, untrimmed code. Here you can see just how many different letters there are. As you can imagine, it's very difficult to fit this giant into the inspector. Other problems arise from this as well, but the most important thing, of course, is responsibility. After all, not everyone codes the same way as someone else, and that someone else doesn't code the same way as the previous person. And after adding new mechanics to all of this, everything just went to hell. Even though the ability system was intended to be complex from the very beginning and was supposed to be a key feature of our project, at its core it was a very simple system with a timer and colliders, and everything else was rather crudely layered on top. Simply put, it was just piling on more functionality. To put it even more simply, and unfortunately, it was functionality without a proper underlying architecture, which eventually led to a colossus with feet of clay.